So most letterman jackets have a liner in them, lining, I guess you'd say, and they zip right here. The newer ones do. They have a liner that zips open. So you're going to want to zip that open. If it doesn't have a liner, there will be a seam, and you can seam rip the seam, and then you'll be able to sew it back together. Alright, I had to pin this over the name because I don't want to have any names on the jacket to show. But you're going to pull this sleeve, right, or it'd be inside out. That's what you want to do. Pull it inside out. Okay, and this is where you can see your patches are sewn on. The other side, which would be the underarm, is where you're going to seam rip this right here. Okay. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. Right here, we're going to start seam ripping at the bottom. It's hard to get it started, but once you get it started, it's really easy. Okay, and I try to go all the way up to where this is so that I have plenty of room to work with, because you've got to be able to lay it flat on your machine to sew it. And you also want to be able to lay it flat to make sure you're getting it straight. Okay. Okay, so that's seam ripped. You can see the inside now. Now what I do, I seam rip that way when I turn it right side out to pin the patch on, I'm able to stick my hand through. I'll show you here in a second. Okay. So now I can lay this flat and I can make sure that I get this exactly where I want it so it's straight. Okay, and then when I'm pinning, this is what I'm talking about here. I'm able to stick my hand under here and pin without pinning through the lining. Okay, and the pinning of leather, maybe that's a controversial thing. I don't know if some people don't do it that way, but I would rather it be completely straight and pin it than risk it being crooked. So I always pin it, and I have never had any problems. I've done letter jackets for years. So. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. That pin's no good. Okay. And just double check it, triple check it, make sure it's good the way you want it. Okay. Then after this, you're going to turn it back inside out. Carefully, so you don't stab yourself with the pin. Okay, now it's inside out again, and we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we'll stitch this on. Okay, here we are, and I'm going to try to keep myself out of this because I am not camera ready. I use this, I have an Epic, and I use the 3.5 stitch length and the 4.0 stitch width, and it's a zigzag stitch. Always watch your liner, keep pulling it back. Lining, I keep calling it liner, but you know what I mean. And this one's kind of a tricky one just because it's so far down on the sleeve, but we're gonna make it work. Sorry, I'm bumping my table. One of the thickest part of the sleeves right there, so be careful and go slow on that part. Tie off your thread if you need to. My machine does it for me, so I don't have to back stitch to tie it off, but okay. There's your patch. Okay, and then now we're gonna flip this back out. I just had that like that out of the way. Okay, and then you're gonna pick out your threads that you've seam ripped here. You don't want little snag threads in the way. And then what I like to do on this part, so I don't pin through leather, because you don't want to pin through anything that's going to show or it's going to have holes in it. I like to use these clips. You can get them for like, I think it's $9 on Amazon for 100 of them. And we're going to pin and try to line up your holes that you can see where it's been sewn. Try to line those up so that you can sew them back together and it doesn't show when you're finished. Okay, so we're gonna clip that. We'll clip here. And we'll clip right here. And one more. Okay, then you stitch your sleeve back together. Make sure you change this back to straight stitch, and I usually put it on about 3 on the length. And kind of follow your stitch line from before. Because if you don't, you're going to have holes showing. Sometimes I have to tug a little to keep it from getting any puckers in it, because you want it to lay flat. Make sure you tie off on the end, very important, that way it doesn't come apart on whoever's wearing it. Okay, there's your sleeve stitched back together, and now we're going to turn it right side out. Whew, okay. Fixed. Okay, and there is your sleeve with all the patches on it. Sorry. And I've put most of these on this jacket, so. Okay, so the very last thing you're gonna want to do is run your arm through and get your lining put back where it needs to be. And then if you have a newer letterman jacket, then you'll just zip the liner. There was some thread there, so let me get that out of there. Okay, now there it is. And I did that one and I did this one today. So they turned out really good. Check your stitches on the bottom, make sure everything catched good and that your sleeves aren't going to come apart. They look good. And all I can suggest for beginners on this is just go slow and pin everything and make sure you've got it straight, and you should be good to go. Thanks for watching.